You probably think you earn money. Every month, your bank balance goes up. And for a moment, it feels like you're making progress, like you're moving forward, like things are working. And to be fair, that feeling is real. But here's a question most people never stop to ask. What if that feeling isn't telling the full story? What if your salary isn't exactly what you think it is? Not a scam, not a trick, but maybe not the full truth either. And what if, without realizing it, you're slowly falling behind, even while doing everything right? Let's take a step back, just for a moment. Think about your daily routine. You wake up, maybe a bit tired, maybe already thinking about what you have to do. You grab your phone, you get ready, you head out, and then you spend most of your day working. You give your time, your energy, your focus, and at the end of the month, you get paid. That's the deal, right? Time for money. And on the surface, it seems fair. But here's where things start to get interesting. Because when you really think about it, what exactly are you getting in return? You're giving something that's limited, your time. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't earn it back. You can't save it. You can't print more of it. But money? Money works differently. It can be created, expanded, adjusted. And that difference might matter more than we realize. Let me explain this with a simple idea. Imagine you're filling a bucket with water. You pour water in, again and again, day after day. But there's a small hole at the bottom, not huge, not obvious, just enough that the water slowly leaks out. At first, you might not notice, the bucket is still filling, but over time, you realize something feels off. No matter how much you pour in, it never quite fills up the way you expected. For some people, this starts to feel a lot like their finances. You're working, you're earning, you're trying to move forward, but something in the background is quietly changing the equation. One of those things is inflation. Now, inflation is one of those words we hear all the time, on the news, online, everywhere, and usually it's explained in simple terms. Prices go up a little each year, 2%, maybe 3%, sometimes more. And that sounds manageable. But when you look closer, it raises an interesting question. If prices are slowly increasing over time, what does that mean for the money you already have? It means that same amount of money might not stretch as far as it used to. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually. And that gradual change can be easy to ignore, until one day you start noticing things. Groceries feel more expensive, rent takes a bigger chunk of your income, saving feels harder than it used to. And even if your salary increases, sometimes it doesn't feel like a real upgrade, more like trying to keep up. Now here's where things get a bit more complex, because money doesn't just lose value randomly. It moves through a system, and depending on where you are in that system, your experience can feel very different. Some people have earlier access to new money, through investments, through assets, through business ownership. Others mainly interact with money through salary. And by the time money reaches them, the environment around it may have already changed. Prices may have adjusted, costs may have increased. So even though the number in your bank account grows, what that number can actually do might not grow at the same pace. And that's where a lot of people start to feel stuck. Because from the outside, everything looks fine. You're working, you're earning, you're doing what you're supposed to do. But internally, it feels like something isn't adding up. And then comes what I like to call the upgrade cycle. You get a raise, and it feels good. It should feel good. It's recognition. It's progress. So naturally, you improve your lifestyle. Maybe you move to a better place, upgrade your car, spend a bit more comfortably. And none of that is wrong. But over time, your expenses grow alongside your income. And before you realize it, you're just as dependent on your next paycheck as you were before, maybe even more. So instead of feeling freer, you feel more locked in. More responsibility, more pressure, more to maintain. And this is where things can start to feel like a loop. You work more to support your lifestyle. Your lifestyle expands, which requires more income. And the cycle continues. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean salary is bad. For many people, it provides stability, structure, a sense of security, but it also has limits, because salary, by design, is predictable. And predictability can be a double-edged sword. It makes life easier to manage, but sometimes harder to change. Because when your entire system depends on consistency, taking risks becomes harder. Questioning things becomes uncomfortable. Stepping outside the path feels dangerous. And that leads to an important question. If your time is fully committed, and your income depends on that time, how much control do you really have? Not just financially, but over your life. Because at some point, people start to realize something. Salary helps you live, but it doesn't always help you grow. And those two things are not the same. Growth often requires ownership, leverage, time flexibility, things that don't always come from a fixed monthly income. And again, this isn't a rule. It's a perspective, a way of looking at things that not everyone considers. But once you start thinking about it, it can be hard to ignore, because you begin to see patterns, you begin to question assumptions, and you begin to ask better questions, not just, how much do I earn, but what does my income actually allow me to do? Is my time being used the way I want? Am I building something or just maintaining something? And those questions can change everything, because awareness is where change begins. So the next time you get paid, take a moment, not to celebrate, not to worry, but to think. Look at the number and ask yourself, what does this really represent? Time, effort, opportunity. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see it differently. Not as a simple reward, but as part of a much bigger system, one that most people never fully question. Until they do. And once you start seeing it, it's hard to go back. Because now you're not just earning, you're observing, you're thinking, you're understanding. And that is where things begin to change. Unmask the system. This is Money's Ghost.